Hey everyone, welcome back to DAX Guides. Today in this video, we are going to be discussing the function IFERROR. Now, this function is only needed if you do have errors within your data set. If you don't have any errors, then you might not need to be using this function, but we are going to discuss it anyway. My name is Amelia Roberts. I'm going to guide you through how to use this function in Power BI using DAX. Let's talk about it a little bit. So what does the IFERROR function do? It's going to return a specific value that you want returned if there is an error in your data. So if you use this function, you can tell Power BI pretty much if this column in a specific row has an error in it, please replace that value with something else of your choosing, whether that's a 0, whether that's a blank, whatever it is that you choose to use. It's up to you. The syntax for this is simply going to be if error, and then within parentheses, you're going to put the value, and then you're going to say value if error. And this is how you determine what you are going to want within your new column or within your measure, what you want shown in case there is an error within it. So this is almost like a safety net. It's going to catch those errors and replace them with something more user-friendly or something that just isn't hashtag error in bold italics. My example here that we have, it says average sales equals if error sum sales total sales divided by count sales region. That's going to be that first part of that syntax. That's my value. And then if there is an error in that, then it's going to replace it with a 0. I'm going to show you this using it in a calculated column and in a measure as well. Let's head over to my laptop and check this out. So here we are on our IFERROR page. I'm going to go to my table view really quick, and we are going to build out this specific if error. Now, the problem that I currently have, which isn't necessarily a problem, I wouldn't say, but I do not actually have any errors within my data. I am using a very cleaned up data set. I couldn't find any errors within it to be able to show this fully the way that I wanted to. And so we are actually going to create an error column to utilize to be able to show this. So we need to do that first and foremost. I think this is just a great learning activity for us to do. I am going to go to my internet sales table actually to create this. So let's go up to new column, and we're quickly going to create, I'm just going to call it the error column. And what I'm going to do is it is going to give me an error if I divide by 0. Simple math here. So I am just going to use my sales amount column, divide it by 0, and it will throw me the error in that way. So I'm going to do internet sales. I'm going to use my sales column, and I'm going to just divide that, so a slash, by 0. And we're going to hit enter. So it's giving me this infinity sign. That's never a good thing to have in there. But we need it for the purposes of showing this example today. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go up and hit new column now at this point, and let's go ahead and make our calculated column using our IFERROR example. That's actually what I'm going to call it, IFERROR example. And then I am going to use the function IFERROR. All right, so first off, I need a value. I'm going to use my sales amount, and I'm also going to divide it by my internet sales order quantity. So I am going to put internet sales. Ooh, internet sales, sales amount, and then divide it by internet sales order quantity right here. All right, so this is going to be my value. Now I need to tell DAX, I need to tell Power BI that if an error is thrown, what should it replace it with? I'm going to do a comma to move on. You can see IntelliSense is here keeping up with me, which is always super helpful. once you start to really get into using DAX, I highly suggest starting to take notice of what IntelliSense is helping you with. It is extremely beneficial in your DAX journey. I'm going to hit escape to get rid of IntelliSense so that you can see what I'm typing a little bit better. And what I wanted to put if there is an error is I simply want it to put 0. The reason I'm going to do this is because I'm probably going to have an error for a lot of different rows here, possibly all of them because my error column. So you should see this column turn into all zeros. So I am going to go ahead and close that parenthesis. I have finished my function, my IFERROR function. So that is where I need a parenthesis to finish at. And I'm going to hit enter. So it is giving me some options here. It's doing the $4.99, which is my sales amount. If I drop this down, it doesn't look like it's given me any zeros. So it doesn't look like this technically worked the way I wanted. But that is because we did not use our error column. So let's actually replace. Let's replace sales amount with our error column now. Okay, so replacing our sales amount with our error column. And let's see how this changes. See how now it is giving me all zeros because I was dividing a 0 by a number. That's going to cause an error. So I need to use 0 in place of it with my if error. Now, if I did this without if error, if I just tried to divide those two columns, I would be getting an error. But because I'm using if error, it gets rid of it and replaces it with what I want, which is 0 in this case. Let's head back to the report view and let's see what if error looks like within a measure instead. So I'm going to go back to report view. I'm going to click on my measure table to make sure my measure is housed there. And I'm going to hit new measure up at the top. And I'm going to call this measure just the if error example. So we remember kind of why we made it. And what I want to do is I want to take the sum of one of my columns, divide it by the sum of my error column, since that's where the issues are. Even though we made them, that's where they are. And if there is an error that is output from this, then I would like it to just provide a blank or a 0. So let's go ahead and do that. I am going to start with my IFERROR function. And then it's asking for a value. I'm going to do the sum of, we'll do internet sales, and we'll do the sales amount. Now that is the end of my sum function. So I do need to put a parenthesis here, but I'm not done with my value yet. So I'm not going to put a comma. I'm actually going to hit a divide, and then I need to once again do sum. I'm going to do internet sales, and then this is where I'm going to put my error column that I created. This is once again the end of my sum function, so I do need to put a parenthesis there before I finish my if error. So now that I have finished my expression for my if error DAX formula, I can hit the comma, and IntelliSense is telling me, okay, so what do you want us to put if there is an error? I want it to just put a blank. So I'm going to put blank. Now I am done with my if error function. I have all the parts to it, so I'm going to finish this off by closing that parenthesis. So now we're going to hit enter at this point, and then let's throw this into our visual to see what this looks like. So since our error column is actually just a column full of errors, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see all zeros, which are blanks, which is exactly actually what we want. It took the sums of two of our columns, divided them, and it came up with an error. So we're going to get zeros because they're all errors. That's exactly what you want. If I were to throw my total sales in here, you'll see the difference here. So we do have a sum of total sales, which if you remember is part of what we put into our if error function. This is how you can see it is working. I highly suggest if you do have errors within your data, but you don't want to get rid of these values, you don't want to get rid of these rows, you don't want to get rid of this data, look into this DAX function, check it out and see how it works for you. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you in the next one.